let's talk about leading change in an organization. We usually call it a project, right? But that sounds so safe. What if we reframed it? Think of it less like a project and more like a high-stakes expedition into uncharted territory, a journey where the path is anything but clear and success is never guaranteed. Because when you start looking at the reality of these journeys, you see a number like this: 70%. That's right. That's the estimated number of these expeditions that just fail. They get lost in the wilderness, the crew gives up, or they simply run out of steam. It's a genuinely dangerous landscape out there for anyone trying to lead their team to a new place. So that begs the question, doesn't it? How do you become one of the few that actually make it? How do you join that 30%? Well, you'd never set out on a real expedition without a map. And that is exactly what we're going to build today, a reliable map to guide your next big change. Every single successful expedition starts long before the first step is taken. It starts with planning. You have to know two fundamental things: exactly where you're going, and more importantly, why this difficult journey is absolutely necessary right now. This is all about charting your course. Okay, so let's break down the first 2 points on our map. First, you have to define your destination, and I mean it has to be crystal clear. Not some vague idea like, let's improve customer service. No, it needs to be something concrete, something you can measure, like we will reduce customer response time from 3 days down to just 1. That's a real destination. Second, you have to create urgency. Why do we have to climb this mountain now? Explaining that, saying something like, our current system is at its breaking point and can't handle our growth, that's the fuel that gets the entire journey started. And that why, it's not just some fluffy, feel-good speech. The data here is incredibly clear. If your team, your crew, doesn't understand the reason for the journey, they won't just drag their feet. Many of them will actively work against it. That why is your first and best defense against failure. So, you've got your destination and your reason for going. Your course is charted. Now what? Well, you can't go it alone. The next critical phase is assembling your crew. An expedition is only ever as strong as the people and the supplies you bring along for the ride. Now, listen up, because this is probably the single most important member of your entire crew, the executive sponsor. And this is not just a name on a PowerPoint slide. This person is your chief guide, your champion. They're the senior leader who believes in the mission, fights for it in the boardrooms, and makes sure you get the resources you desperately need to succeed. And the difference that one person makes? It's like night and day. Just look at this. Without a real sponsor, your expedition is treated like a low priority. There's confusion, mixed messages, and you're always begging for resources. It's a recipe for disaster. But with an active sponsor, suddenly it's a clear priority. The team is motivated, focused, and the resources you need actually show up. The chance of success just skyrockets. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This isn't just a theory. The research from Prashi, who are leaders in this field, makes it undeniable. Active and visible sponsorship is the #1 predictor of success. So let me be blunt. If you don't have a sponsor, your first mission isn't to start the change. It's to find one. Period. Beyond your sponsor, you've got to do a serious reality check on your supplies. This means the actual budget, of course, but also the right people with the right skills. And here's the one everyone forgets. Do they have the time and bandwidth to actually do this? You can't ask a crew that's already exhausted to climb Mount Everest. All right, the map is drawn, the crew is assembled, and the supplies are packed. It's time to set off. This next phase is all about navigating the actual terrain. And let's be real, the path is never as smooth as it looks on the map. There are always obstacles. So what are the biggest obstacles you're gonna face? Well, take a look at this. The #1 reason expeditions fail isn't a technical problem. It's not a budget shortfall. It's human. At a massive 39%, employee resistance is the single most treacherous terrain you'll have to cross. So how on earth do you navigate that? You don't just push harder, you have to be a guide. That means you listen, really listen to people's fears. You show empathy and acknowledge that change is hard. You educate constantly to clear up rumors. And most importantly, you involve people. You give them a role, a sense of ownership, because ownership is the ultimate antidote to resistance. And through this whole part of the journey, your most vital piece of equipment is your radio. That's your communication plan. And it can't just be you broadcasting orders from the front. It has to be a constant, clear, two-way conversation. It's what keeps everyone connected and moving in the same direction.
especially when the fog rolls in.
So let's say you've done it. You've navigated the tough terrain, you've reached the summit. The expedition's a success, right? Well, not so fast. This is the final, and honestly, the most often forgotten phase, making the change actually stick. It's not about just planting a flag and going home. It's about securing your new position.
And this right here captures the classic mistake, confusing the launch with the landing. The launch is the big one-time event, the announcement, the training session. It's exciting. But the landing, that's the slow, steady, ongoing work of coaching, measuring, and reinforcing that actually makes the new way of working the normal way of working. So how do you make that happen? You have to intentionally reinforce the new habits. You publicly recognize and reward the people who jump on board first. You integrate the new behaviors into performance goals so they're no longer optional. You turn your managers into coaches, and you never stop listening and tweaking. Finally, you need to prove you've actually landed. You do that by measuring two different things. First, the hard numbers, the outcome KPIs, like that 20% reduction in cycle time. That proves you reached the destination. But you also have to measure adoption. Are people actually using the new system correctly? That qualitative data proves that your crew has truly settled into their new home. Phew, okay, we have covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From charting the course all the way to securing the destination. So let's boil all of this down into a simple, powerful tool you can carry with you. Let's call it your change compass. Here it is, your cheat sheet, the Expedition Leader's Checklist. It's just 4 key stages. 1. Chart your course. Know your what and your why. 2. Assemble your crew. Get that sponsor and the right supplies. 3. Navigate the terrain. Deal with resistance and communicate constantly. And 4. Make it stick. Reinforce and measure. That's your map to success.
Because make no mistake, change isn't a one-time event. There's another expedition just over the horizon. There always is. So the only real question left to ask is this: when that call comes, is your map going to be ready?